present the findings of my team on the question of the use of POGOs for espionage activities. Noong nakaraang hearing, pinakita ko ang interview ng aking opisina sa isang Wang Fugue. Referring to the previous documentary of Al Jazeera, pinalaliman niya ang pagkakilala natin sa isang Shi Zhejiang. Itong si Shi Zhejiang ang nagsabi na kasama niyang foreign intelligence agent, si Guo Huaping. My team conducted a deep dive research on Shi Zhejiang. His first known record in the Philippines was on December 10, 2011. We have learned that Shi Zhejiang was initially the subject of a 2014 court order for running an illegal casino. According to the court judgment, quote, the People's Protectorate of the Economic and Technological Development Zone of Yantai City presented the charges as follows. Shi Zhejiang, at large, established private lottery platforms in the Philippines under the names New Asia, Wanda, D1, and Tang Club without government approval. Close quote. Sa makatuwid po, ang dahilan po ng 2014 niya na kaso ay ang mga activities sa Pilipinas simula 2011. Noon pong July 2015, it was reported in the media that there was a raid on Chonghua General Enterprises Corporation, isang korporasyon na pagmamay-ari ni Shi Zhejiang na naging mitsa ng deportation ng 154 na tao. Mga kaibigan, according to my informants, if you have a warrant in China, it is very hard to move around. You cannot get a new passport. You cannot go to China unless mayroong nag-ayos sa'yo na matataas na tao. At di umano, ang dahilan kung bakit ito naaayos ay dahil nga kinukuha sila bilang intelligence asset. Ayon nga po kay Shi Zhejiang, siya po ay na-recruit bilang intelligence asset to work for the Chinese Communist Party. Hindi malayong isipin na totoo ang sinasabi ni Shi na na-recruit siya sa Pilipinas ng isang Ma Dongli noong last quarter ng 2016. We were able to confirm from Ma Dongli's travel records that he was indeed here 4 times during the last quarter of 2016. Sakto po, October 2016, nabigyan ng bagong passport naman si Shi. It was also around this time that Shi Zhejiang changed his visa to a CESA visa. A few months later, or in mid-2017, nabuo na ang plano para sa Yatay New City Project o ang Shwekoko, kung saan naligtas ng opisina ko si Elias Rita noong namang 2022. Magkasama po si Ma Dongli at itong si Shi Zhejiang sa project na ito. Very interestingly, it is a documented fact that state-owned enterprises affiliated with the Communist Party of China were part of Yatay from the start. In short, Shi Zhejiang worked intimately with Beijing after 2016. It was not just in Yatay. Mr. Shi was also part of Cambodia's Dara Sakor Economic Zone, together with the Union Development Corporation, a state-backed Chinese firm. Noong 2017, despite the 2014 case involving activities here in the Philippines and completely oblivious to his espionage activities here, Mr. Shi was given a 9G visa by the Bureau of Immigration. Mga kaibigan, namayagpag po sa Pilipinas at sa Cambodia itong si Mr. Shi. Naging 5 na po ang kanyang pangalan. Ang apat pa ay Shi Lungkay, Tang Lungkay, Tang Trangkay, at Dilan Shi. But he continued activities together with the Chinese Communist Party. I want to point out that Shi's documented links in the Philippines are via CESA. At mamaya ay tatanungin ko ang CESA tungkol dyan. My team has sought to speak to Shi Zhejiang in prison, together with our police attaché in Bangkok, Colonel Dominador Matalang. Shout out po kay Colonel Matalang for his able assistance to my team from the rescue in 2022 until today. While we have been prevented from accessing Shi Zhejiang, sa aming pananaliksik at pagtatanong, nabigyan po kami ng ilang mga impormasyon na magpapatunay na hindi ordinaryo ang access ng taong ito. These files, from my understanding, are available only to police officers or those granted special access to classified government information. Shi Zhejiang has access to the files of Guo Huaping and the members of her family. Dahil according to him, Guo Huaping is an intelligence agent. He has released some of these files for the Senate hearing. Nagimbal din ako sa impormasyon which confirms some of my earlier theories that scam cities are used to sow disinformation campaigns to influence hearts and minds. Mukhang hindi lang sugal, scamming at trafficking ang pakay ng mga compound na ito, kundi fake news din. Di ako magtataka kung yung mga atake sa akin at sa mga kasamahan ko, gaya ni Senator Sherwin, ay galing din sa mga POGO. I will share some of this information later as I question the agencies. Mga kasama, make no mistake about it. Sa 2 taon na hearing, 4 na taon kung kasama ang 18th Congress hearings tungkol sa social costs ng POGO na nagbunsod ng expose sa Pastilla scam. One thing is clear, POGO is a monster. Siya ay halimaw na gumagawa ng human trafficking, money laundering, torture, at espionage. Pero sino ang bumusog sa halimaw na ito? Mga kaibigan, this photo was given to us by one of our key informants, and it further deepens what we already know. Michael Yang is a key actor in Chinese intelligence operations here. Michael Yang nasangkot sa Pharmally, and if the reports are accurate, sa drug operations dito. Michael Yang, the economic advisor ng dating Pangulo. Ginatasan na tayo, pinagtaksilan pa. Friends, I want to show you how Chinese communist propaganda is conducted right under our noses. Specifically, in a spa beside Newport City, here in Pasay. Itong Yatay Spa was once associated with Shi Zhejiang, but we have no knowledge if he still has controlling interest. Nagpamasahe po doon ang aking informants a few weeks ago, and they took a photo of this QR code that was freely available in the buffet area. Ito po ang sumambulat nung kinlik namin ang QR code. A Telegram group called Hongsheng, sounds familiar ba? To support overseas bosses. I don't know if this is the Hongsheng of Guo Huaping in Bamban, but hardly anything surprises me anymore at this point. It also has a video containing a mishmash of anti-US statements and a call to serve the motherland. Here is the video.
要想把中国出名是吧？这是痴心妄想，怎么可能呢？他有点不自量力，不思悔改，信口雌黄，自作多情。 痴心妄想、厚颜无耻、罔顾事实、颠倒黑白、不自量力而大言不惭、竹篮打水一场空。美国号称自己是全世界自由的灯塔，但这灯塔似乎不怎么亮。无论走到哪里，祖国在你身后。
鸿盛与您合作。
Groovy pa ng music, no? At hindi po ito tago. Hindi po ito secret na access ng informants kung nagpamasahe at nagbuffet pagkatapos. Salamat po. As my colleagues arrive, I will ask them if they have opening statements. So for now, I call on the committee secretary to call on the resource persons and administer the oath to those who haven't taken it yet.
Good morning, everyone. For the record, the committee would like to acknowledge the presence of the following resource persons. From the Philippine National Police, we have Police Colonel Lucrecio Rodrigueza Jr., Police Brigadier General Matthew Bakay, from the PNP-CIDG, Police Colonel David Poclay, Police Brigadier General Romeo Macapas. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Undersecretary Jesus Gary Domingo. Officer in Charge, Paulo Saret. Deputy Assistant Secretary, Rafael Hermoso. Deputy Assistant Secretary, Maria Cynthia Pelayo. Deputy Assistant Secretary, Arman Talbo. Director Lailani Feliciano, Director Von Ryan Pangwi, Miss Aaron Patrice Isabel Frias. From the Department of Labor and Employment, we have Mr. Patriwi Yaran Jr. From the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, we have Director Winnie Gedato. Okay. From the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, we have Maria Reyna Carrion. From the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, we have a representative, Attorney Marichel de Guzman, Miss Nobeline Achansar. From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, we have Attorney Scraton Orculio. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Commissioner Joel Anthony Biado. We also have Mr. Arsanib de Capong. From the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Attorney Olga Agustia Gonzalez. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Jonathan Pancratios Pagirigan, Attorney Hale Oliver Labayo, Attorney Pamela Lorraine Ramos. From the National Intelligence and Coordinating Agency, we have Deputy Director General Francisco Asli Asedillo. From the National Security Council, we have Attorney Sheena Marie Lopez. From the Philippine Statistical Authority, we have Engineer Marisa Grande, Attorney Ansari Kosain. Okay, there. Attorney Joyce Buyongan. Okay. From the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, we have Attorney Clem Bonete. From the Philippine Coast Guard, we have Commodore Eugenio Federico, Commander Orly Wong, Commander Rene Leandro Narvasa, Lieutenant Conrado Ramos, Lieutenant Mar Turita, okay, Lieutenant Gerson Gamas. We have Lieutenant Commander Hazel Goldame Castillo. Okay. Then from the Philippine Navy, Lieutenant Colonel Carlos Llaneguis. We have Mayor Crisildo Calugay. We have Miss Cheryl Medina. We have Miss Geraldine Pipito from QJJ Farm, Catherine Salazar from QJJ Farm. Then we have the former mayor of Bamban, Mr. Jose Antonio Feliciano. Then we have Shang Nir, also known as Shilagoo. We have Yang Jian Sing, also known as Tony Yang. Then we have our interpreter, Caroline Batay. Then we have Jose Gabriel Lavinia. Okay. That's all, Madam Chair.
Before you administer the oath, Comsec, may taga-AMLAC din po ba? Or did I not catch the name? Thank you, Attorney. Thank you, Comsec. Please
Okay, from the
acknowledge.
AMLAC, Mr. Ross Jonathan Galicia. Okay, Adrian.
Please proceed, Comsec.
Adrian Arpon.
Thank you.
May I request those who have not taken their oath during last hearings to please stand up, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, please state your name, do solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to this committee. Thank you. You may now take your seat.
Salamat, Comsec, at sa lahat ng mga resource persons. So I'd like to ask first Deputy Director General Asidilio for the NICA. A report written in Chinese claims that NICA has made a report on Chinese influence operations in CEZA. Can you speak to this, Deputy Director General? First of all, are there government officials employed? At kung mayroon, sino-sino po sila?
Madam Chairman, members of the committee and others present, good morning. Madam Chair, I will speak to the fact that indeed NICA has been conducting continuous monitoring across our 17 regional offices, Madam Chair, not just in the region where Cagayan Valley belongs to. As a matter of fact, Madam Chair, we are willing in an executive session to brief the chairperson and the members of the committee as to the extent of such Chinese, and we will call them under the nomenclature MIFI, Madam Chair, malign influence and foreign interference activities. The request is made because, first of all, we'd like to acknowledge that the extent is pervasive. And as of the initial briefings that we've had from our regions, mukhang wala pong region na exempted. As to whether or not there are government officials or employees that are involved in such, we cannot make a determination until the respective regions are able to submit their conclusive reports. So I will indeed confirm as to the information received by the good chairperson, ma'am.
Thank you, Deputy Director General. And the Chair welcomes the offer to conduct an executive session together with the members of my committee who are interested on these malign influence and foreign intervention activities. I note that the Deputy Director General said that these activities are extensive in scope, and syempre nakakabahala na walang rehiyon sa ating bansa ay exempted. And I also noticed that at the top of this page of the part of the report that we showed, there's mention of Shi Lungkai, which is one of the names used by Shi Zhijiang here in the Philippines. So it seems that he is probably involved in this somehow, and I will wait for the executive session to hear the details about that. There's also in what we've shown already a reference to who is referred to in the report, or an excerpt which is in the report, to a Lebino, but is linked to an article which I will also show later, no, from Ramon Tulfo about CESA Administrator Raul Lambino, which I will ask the CESA resource persons about in a bit. Just a few more questions, Deputy Director General. At sabihan nyo na lang ako kung yung iba dito ay kaugnay din ng i-cover natin sa executive session. There was even an attempt to gain control of Fuga Island and developing it into a smart city. Intelligence agents flagged this as a national security concern, and the plan was aborted. Can you confirm that the aborted plan to turn Fuga into a smart city was a Beijing-led initiative for its security and territorial interests?
Madam Chair, as to the earlier question, whether there was an attempt, we would like to confirm, although that predates my stint in the NICA, there was indeed an effort on the part of our national security sector to block. It was elevated as a national security issue, prompting even statements from our previous national security advisor and our Secretary of National Defense, because there was already a public clamor to address such, and it was addressed at the highest level under the previous administration, Madam Chair. As to whether it was a Beijing led operation, maybe at a proper time during the hearing to speak to the other efforts on the part of the Chinese government. We cannot conclusively say, however, there has been a confluence, Madam Chair, and this has been widely reported, not just in our government, but also by other foreign governments. There has been a confluence in the expansion of Chinese economic investment activities with the expansion of the nexus of espionage and criminal activities, which under our emerging consensus, Madam Chair, there is really such an effort to converge, because it ties up conveniently with the the national security law that was passed by China in 2017, directing all their citizens and all entities that are in China to cooperate without fail with the Chinese government.
Thank you. And I think they have a partner law to that, on if it's called espionage, or but one that also obliges even state-owned enterprises, or even non-state-owned enterprises, but Chinese economic enterprises operating in other countries, to provide information to their government when asked.
Madam Chair, we're referring to the same legislation.
Right. Thank you. And again, about this line of questioning, I'll get to CESA in a minute. Deputy Director General, international news reports in the past few days spoke of a telecom hack believed to be Chinese sponsored, called by the United States as, quote, the worst telecom hack in our nation's history. According to my source, there are threat actors operating these cyber espionage operations. Two of these threat actors are APT-40 and APT-41. I've received some information, of course, needing to be verified, that APT-40 and APT-41 sought to use the facilities in Myanmar of Shijiazhuang for their operations. Some of the files of these bad actors have been released for the Senate hearing. Ito po yun. What I am concerned about here is information that the Philippines is a victim country of these espionage activities. Is there a study already on the origin of these hacks, and can we possibly trace them to gambling cities or even POGO hubs?
Madam Chair, with the information that we have, we can confirm that indeed Chinese advanced persistent threat groups are operating or targeting the Philippines whether government or private sector entities. We have monitored some of them, Madam Chair, and again, in an executive session, if required, we can share some information. Secondly, Madam Chair, indeed, your information is accurate. In fact, the U.S. intelligence agencies have briefed both the Democrat and the Republican campaigns as to targeted attacks using at least one American telecommunications company. It's been named publicly, but of course, I will not name it here. I don't believe it is my place. But yes, there has been such an effort in the lead up to the November 2024 elections in the United States.
Thank you. And again, we will wait for the executive session. Kahit ito na yung huling public hearing ng investigasyong ito, but at least preparatory to the committee report, my colleagues and I will appreciate that executive session. Noting also that these threat groups are described as advanced and persistent. So tawag pansin yun, na tawag concern din, and also the possible relationship to what is being done in other countries as well. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, for the benefit of the committee and the listening public, may I address the issue on the APT? Yes, Madam
Please
Chair,
do.
an APT is a cybersecurity nomenclature that is among practitioners a polite way of describing state-backed or state-affiliated advanced and highly sophisticated hacking groups. They may be cyber criminal groups as well, but why are they called advanced persistent threats? They are differentiated from the normal individual hackers or the disorganized or non-sophisticated hackers because of their resources, the personnel that they have, and the sophisticated skills that they possess. So much so that they are believed to be largely state-trained or state-sponsored or state-backed. Again, they provide a convenient cutout for certain countries, which we call revisionist countries, that seek to upend the international global order. They seek to achieve certain asymmetric advantages without using state resources and providing a convenient, deniable link to such groups. However, being able to obtain the benefit of such advanced cybersecurity capabilities against countries that are identified as adverse or adversarial to countries that avail of the services of these advanced persistent threat groups, Madam Chair.
So yun pala yung APT, Advanced Persistent Threat. So those groups 40 and 41 ang pinakita namin dito sa slides kanina. And yung sinabi nyo about upending the international order, naalala ko tuloy yung nabuksang video dun sa QR code dyan sa Yatay Spa ba yun? Oo. Yatay Spa sa Newport City. Okay. At paano naman po yung mga troll farms deliberately sowing disinformation? May lumabas na balita that there was a coordinated social media campaign supporting the Vice President from accounts affiliated with China. Ito po yun. So have there been preliminary investigations on this?
Madam Chair, what makes this investigation difficult is that if the influence campaigns are done through legitimate social media platforms, we will have to course it through the owners and operators of the social media platforms, all of which are actually foreign-based. Kaya po kahit may nagrereklamo po tayong mga kababayan na mga nabiktima po ng scam, they will have to be, even if they approach our government agencies, they will have to be coursed through this foreign social media platforms. What makes them difficult po is many of them are not operating country offices. They're merely operating sales and marketing outlets here in our country, as opposed to other firms that have an end-to-end operation po dito sa bansa po natin. Secondly, Madam Chair, we cannot discount the possibility that these POGO hubs are also operating as dual use entities.
Parang SIM card ah.
Yes, Madam Chair, because if you look at it, kung pwede ka pong mang-scam, diretso po doon sa mga individual subscribers, pwede ka rin pong mag-push ng misinformation and other information via SMS. So, one way this is used po, no, kahit sabihin po natin, and this has been a problem before po. I used to work for a telco. Ang una po naming tinitingnan nun were what we call the aggregators. Meron po kasing ginagamit po yung lahat ng telco ng mga service po kung saan doon po nila pinapasa yung gusto po nilang i-text blast at yung po mga aggregators na po ang magte-text blast. Then we later found out po na binabypass na po yan ng mga scammers. Kasi po, yun nga, kasi nakita na po na yung aggregators po among themselves, they were policing their ranks already. Eventually po, nakita po natin na dinidiretso na po ng mga scam sites po na ito, yung pong tinatawag, meron po tayong tinatawag na IMSI catcher. These are what we call man-in-the-middle attacks. May mga nagpapanggap po na kunyari, mga cell site. But these are operated by hackers po. Dahil po nagpapanggap sila na mga cell sites, ang akala po ng mga cellphone natin, these are legitimate cell sites po. But in fact, they are operated by scammers. At yan po ang ginagawa po ng mga MC catchers, kinokolekta po yung impormasyon sa atin po mga cellphones at pag nakuha na po yan naman po ang gagamitin ng impormasyon para ikaw naman po yung biktimahin. Ang akala nyo po galing po sa mga legitimate telcos yung SMS, pero galing po pala sa mga scammers, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Director General. Paano yung spelling ng MC catcher? MC catcher?
IMSI po.
IMSI. Oh, tama. Okay. Man in the middle. All right. Habang sinasagot niyo yung mga tanong ko, naisip ko ang daming impormasyon dito na of interest kahit sa yung komite namin dito sa Senado having to do with ICT and pati electoral reforms, no? Speaking about the man in the middle. And in fact, yung tinatalakay nyo ngayon lamang, Deputy Director General, is one of the findings of a paper of Rear Admiral Romel Ong for the Ateneo Policy Center about POGOs also being used as for troll farms. And if I may, after my questions to the good Deputy Director General, I'd like to ask a few questions also of the good Admiral. But one last question muna sa atin, Deputy Director General. Nung nakaraang hearing po, Nika committed to look into reports on Guo Huaping's involvement in the intelligence activities of a foreign government. Are you able to speak to this now? Can you confirm that Guo Huaping is an agent of influence?
Madam Chair, in addressing that question, there was a supervening event wherein what was being thrown around in the public sphere and in the media was that, well, whether or not Guo Huaping was a spy. And in our coordinations with the committee, we acknowledge that the term has been loosely used. And however, since this is a hearing in aid of legislation, and given the fact that there are current efforts to amend our espionage law, as well as to pass a law to counter foreign influence and foreign interference, we would like to be as specific and as accurate as we would like to be. We would like to distinguish between a foreign intelligence agent and an agent of influence because they are different. As to the question whether or not Guo Huaping is a spy or, to be more accurate, a foreign intelligence agent, it requires a determination of fact, meaning that the intelligence agency to which that trained her, employed her, and supervised her or controlled her, either confirms or an officer of that agency confirms the existence or the fact rather of Ms. Go Waping being their agent, we have not come to that determination yet, Madam Chair, which brings us to the fact or to the question, is she an agent of influence? We do not have currently any legislation or any convention in our country that defines what an agent of influence is. However, within an historical context, Madam Chair, given that these activities have been common, especially during the Cold War, the activities and the facts that have come to light so far in this committee and in other committees, especially in the House, point to the fact that she is, and even in discussions within the intelligence community, there is consensus that indeed she is an agent of influence. What does that mean? If I may just read, Madam Chair.
Please proceed.
There are several ways to define an agent of influence. What is applicable on the part of Ms. Go Waping is that she uses her influence, her stature, or her position to influence public opinion or decision-making to produce results beneficial to the country whose services they benefit from. So to that effect, Madam Chair, that is applicable to her, and therefore she may be classified as such. Although we would like to acknowledge that there is no law currently that defines it as such. However, Intelligence and Counterintelligence Convention, which falls under our purview, recognizes that convention, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director General. Siguro yung sinabi nyo rin na wala pa tayong batas o wala pa tayong pagratipika ng anumang convention kaugnay nito, would also be, I think, a valuable possible recommendation in our committee report para sa patuloy na pagtrabaho namin dito sa Senado. So, salamat po para dyan. If I may turn quickly to Rear Admiral Ong, and salamat po sa presensya nyo ngayong umaga. Have you been able to take the oath, Admiral?
Not yet, Madam Chair.
Not yet, sir. Comsec, paki-administer yung oath kay Admiral Ong.
I request that you stand up and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name, do solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to this committee. Thank you.
Salamat, Comsec, at salamat po, Admiral. Is it correct that you authored a study on malign foreign influence and interference in the Philippines, Admiral?
Correct, Madam Chair. That is a product of a funded study, and I have a team that conducted the study, ma'am.
Salamat po. With your permission, I'd like to read a portion of your study that I found striking. So, quote, POGOs represent a prime example of economic activities with criminal underpinnings, including collusion with local government officials. These operators have likely evolved into platforms for foreign influence, facilitating illegal activities while exerting subtle pressure on local politics. For example, former Bamban Mayor Guo was implicated in POGO-related scandals, along with allegations of being a Chinese spy by confessed Chinese spy Shi Zhijian, illustrating how local officials can be entangled in broader geopolitical dynamics. POGO's infrastructure also provides a basis for conducting influence operations, including hosting troll farms. These existing digital networks can be employed to manipulate public perception and sway political outcomes. While the CPP does not uniformly endorse these operations, they can still be used to stir internal conflicts and exploit nationalistic sentiments, thereby maintaining a monopoly on power and limiting rival influences. Moreover, investigations into illegal POGO activities revealed the fraudulent acquisition of land by Chinese nationals using falsified documents and Filipino proxies. This fraudulent behavior has serious security implications, affecting local governance and creating long-term vulnerabilities for the country. close quote. In your opinion, likely po ba talaga ang paggamit o na ginamit ang POGO para sa interes ng dayuhang bansa, Admiral?
I would agree, Madam Chair. That is part and parcel of the methodology that they have employed as a tool of statecraft.
Alright, salamat po. Maraming salamat po, Admiral. And para ipagpatuloy yung line of questioning with the good Admiral and earlier with the good Deputy Director General, I would like to introduce our next resource person. Mr. Wang Fugue is live on Zoom and joining us here today. Ms. Caroline, please assist in translating the chair's interpellation with Mr. Wang. Hello, Mr. Wang.
你好，王先生。
Could you please turn on your video, Mr. Wang?
能不能打开你的视频？
Ni hao, Mr. Wang.
王先生你
Hello,
好，
Hello.
听到我的说话吗？
能听到你 ？Can you hear? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you. Can you please
Okay.
open your video?
能不能打开你的摄像头？
Okay, right now I try.
谢谢。
You are welcome.
Visitors, right?
第一个问题，你跟志江先生在监狱期间，你们被允许接待访客吗？
Madam Chairperson，在2023年9月20日，佘志江先生通过国际媒体发布那个不自杀声明之前，他是允许被探视的。但是不自杀声明发布之后，他的那个探视权就被限制了。自从那次之后的话，他就多次被关禁闭。目前他已经在泰国的死囚犯监狱里面关闭近2个月了。
Okay, so in the interview that was done in 2023 in September, so he was allowed to receive interviews from international media, but after that, his visitation was restricted, and he has been kept in Thailand in a restricted area for 2 months already.
See. And that
还有
interview, yes,
还有
Mr. Wang.
Yes. 全世界都知道，中泰两国抓捕他的理由是所谓的经营赌场罪，而且这个所谓的经营赌场罪，其实是2013年佘志江先生在菲律宾经营的合法的博彩生意。我们也不止一次强调了这一点，但是中泰两国完全无视了我们提供的证据。如果在菲律宾经营合法的博彩生意也是犯罪的话，那么犯罪的就不是佘志江先生一个人，而是菲律宾整个国家都犯了中国的那个经营赌场罪了。很显然，中国的执法权越界了，这其实是一场政治清洗和迫害。麻烦翻译先翻译一下，然后我稍后还有一些话。
好的，我会尽量把你说的话就翻译，因为有点长，所以如果有缺了一些，麻烦你来补充一下好吗？ Okay, so
好的。
let me just translate it in the best possible way that I can. So, all right. So there is like a cooperation between China and Thailand, wherein they deem that the operations of Mr. She are illegal, especially in operating the gambling operations. And actually, in 2013, in the Philippines, the operations that Mr. She has is actually legal. Okay, but because of the China and Thailand their agreement, so this is considered illegal. So if this is the case, that this kind of gambling is considered illegal, then it's not only Mr. She who should be condemned, because he is working together with a group of people. And it is also possible that if this is considered illegal, other people in the Philippines would also be condemned. So it's actually a matter of the agreement between the two countries.
Oh,
Mm.
all right. Let's
还有
backtrack a bit. Let's backtrack a bit. I want to ask follow-up questions
Mm.
about what you first said. Now, you said that previously, Mr. She was allowed to have visitors, including interviewers. But after that interview, and I presume you're referring to the Al Jazeera interview, his access to visitors was restricted. And you said for 2 months now. In aside from that, and in more detail, was there a change in the circumstances of Mr. She after the Al Jazeera interview and after the Zoom interview by my office?
我们先回复一下刚才你回答的，关于这个佘先生，你说就是他接受采访之后，从那个国际媒体接受采访之后，你说他被他的这些采访被控制了，那之后呢？之后他的情况是如何改变呢？特别是我们听证会之后，有播放了这个视频，他的情况有如何改变？
在半岛的那个采访播出和参议会的那个听证会之后，佘志阳先生就被泰国关进了那个泰国的中央监狱的那个死囚室，而且遭到了狱警的长时间殴打，而且还禁止他验伤就医，至今已经瘫痪无法行走，然后坐在轮椅上生活不能够自理。监狱方拒绝提供视频和拒绝回答一切律师和所有媒体的问题。我们是通过佘志阳先生的人权律师得到消息的。然后之前已经说了，就是泰国跟佘志阳先生是没有任何矛盾的，然后佘志阳先生也从来没有违反泰国的法律，甚至可以讲佘志阳先生从未触犯过任何国家的法律。所以说佘志阳先生在泰国遭受的一切恐怖迫害都来自中国政府的指使，这就是根本的原因。如果中国政府真的只是因为经营赌场罪而抓捕佘志阳先生的话，那么佘志阳先生可以随便和包括菲律宾政府在内的所有外界人员对话和联系。一个小小的经营赌场罪，为什么会有那么高级别的政府保密措施？经营赌场的罪名，而且是带引渡人员，需要关押在那个死刑犯的监狱里面吗？而且还给他穿上那个死刑犯的衣服，还戴上那个死刑犯的那个脚镣，而且还禁止亲属给他存在监狱里面的生活费。据我所知，菲律宾政府已经用各种外交方式想探访佘志阳先生，但这些都被泰国政府拒绝了。这本身就说明了这个案子根本与那个经营赌场罪无关。泰国政府跟佘志阳先生的这个案子也没有任何的关系。拒绝菲律宾外交探访的是中国政府，包括挑起菲律宾政府混乱和政坛仇恨的幕后黑手，也是中国的情报部门。中国希望让郭华平的案子在混乱和内斗中不了了之。这也是大家联系佘志阳先生困难的原因。其实幕后的那个东方大国才是一切问题的根源。好的，翻译比较长。
我能翻译一下，就是要回答参议员的问题吗？Okay, 就是首先前几句。Okay, so let me just translate first the answer to your question, Madam Chair. Actually, after the interview with Al Jazeera and after the Senate hearing, Mr. She was actually moved to a more stricter stricter area that is the central jail or something that is in the center of Thailand. So he has been there for quite some time now, and because of that, he also his movements is not also convenient, and the only information that we got are from the lawyer because his communication was also restricted. And going back, just to summarize what Mr. Wang was telling about the case. So actually, this case is also if this case is considered illegal, so that's what he was saying, that means it would also involve the people in the Philippines, the politicians in the Philippines as well. So yes, so that is the summary of what was said by Mr. Wang a while ago.
All right, thank you. I'll go back and forth with your answers to my questions because there are things I want to follow up. Mr. Wang, how do you know that Mr. She's circumstances changed? How do you know that he was transferred to a stricter area and all the details you have given us?
OK，王先生，我们再问一下关于你刚才的问题。那你怎么知道，这个佘先生他就被关在那个中央的监狱呢？你是如何得到这个信息？
因为是那个佘志阳先生的那个人权律师那边给我们反馈的消息。
This was the news that was brought to us by the attorney of Mr. She.
Okay. And what do you think caused it, Mr. Wang? Why do you think Mr. She was transferred and all these other details that you told us?
你觉得为什么佘先生会搬到这个中央的监狱呢？
因为的话，这个就是听证会还有那个采访播出之后，这个原因的话，有可能是激怒了中共，还有那个就是一些方面的原因吧。就是佘志阳先生就是掌握了太多的机密，所以说才激怒了中共，中共才会指使就是泰国政府就是把佘志阳先生就是转换到那个最严格的监狱当中。
So the reason why that he was put in the strictest condition, it's because he is holding a lot of confidential information.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wang. Now, Mr. Wang, you have said repeatedly that we need to talk to Mr. She. Why do you think it is urgent to speak to Mr. She?
王先生，你一直重复要我们跟佘先生谈谈，那你为什么觉得跟佘先生谈很重要呢？
实话说，现在我们很多外界真的不能确定就是佘志阳先生的目前的那个健康状况，甚至也不能就是确定他是否还活着。就是佘志阳留给我保管的一些那个解密档案，有大量的那些就是解密是需要他本人授权的，而且我们希望在保证佘志阳先生安全的情况下，就是向世界大众公开他们。跟佘志阳先生通话是非常重要的，就是包括菲律宾政府想要的资料，都应该就是需要得到他本人的授权。因为我只是一个那个资料的保管者，所以说我们有权利就是私自处理和解密他们。
Okay. So actually right now I could not confirm if he is still alive because for me, I am just the one who's safekeeping the documents, but I don't have the authority to reveal this confidential information that he has. So I think that is the reason why he was moved into this more stricter condition.
Why do you say that you can't confirm if Mr. She is still alive, Mr. Wang?
你刚才说你没办法确认佘先生现在还活着，为什么这样说呢？
因为的话，泰国的监狱方已经就是断绝了那个佘志阳先生对外的一切联系。这个是目前佘志阳先生的状况，就是我们也无法就是联系到佘志阳先生，包括他的亲属也无法联系到佘志阳先生本人。
Okay, because all communications with Mr. She have been prohibited since then, and we really do not know what is happening to him right now, and even his family members do not have contact with him.
See. And speaking of, you can't confirm if he's still alive or in life and death questions. Is that a bulletproof vest you're wearing, Mr. Wang?
王先生，你现在穿的是这个访谈衣服吗
对的。
？Yes, correct.
Why are you wearing a bulletproof vest, Mr. Wang?
为什么穿这个访谈衣服呢？
是为了个人的安全吧，因为的话，就是某些势力，就是他们都能够通过那个泰国高级别的那个严格的监狱，能够把佘志亮先生就是虐待殴打，然后导致他瘫痪，所以说他们在背后那个强大的实力是不能忽视的，所以说安全问题是必须要注意的。
I'm wearing this for my own personal safety because we do not know how strong the Thai government are, especially because I know that the Thai government, they are keeping Mr. She right now. We do not know if he is experiencing torture, being hit, or any other violent things. So we do not know the safety or the strength of the Thai government.
All right. Well, you stay
我是在
safe,
担
Mr.
心。
Wang. And just for the record, I would like to make of record that the committee does not necessarily endorse the expressions of concern about the Thai government, but do stay safe, Mr. Wang. And I have a few more questions for you, but just for you to know, we will ask the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs to communicate to Thai authorities that Mr. She's safety needs to be confirmed, Mr. Wang.
OK，希望你在那边会很安全但是我们会通过我们的外交部来跟那个泰国的警部或是泰国的政府跟他们沟通，让你的安全来保护你的这个个人的安全。那我们接下来还有其他的问题。
Now, Mr. Wang, yes.
OK，
Mr. Wang, did Mr. She tell you about the intelligence activities that he did for the Ministry of State Security?
请问史先生有没有跟你说关于他在国家安全部的一些情报的活动呢？
他是有说过，他也承认他是那个国安部的那个干员，就是他其实的话就是早就担忧过自己的那个处境很危险嘛，因为中国的那个政治斗争近几十年来非常激烈，他所从事的统战，还有“一带一路”和政府渗透的工作所涉及的内容非常的复杂，而且还涉及了大量的资产，所以根本无法预测自己的安危。为此呢，他早就开始了一些那些敏感资料的备份。
Okay. Yes, Mr. She has already admitted to me before that he has indeed been part of this Ministry of Security in China, but he also admitted about being part of the work in the Belt and Road Initiative, and also because this actually involves other assets and it's very complicated, and there are a lot more confidential information about this.
And I guess that speaks to what the Deputy Director General said about the nexus between economic activities and other activities, including criminal activities and that angle of possible espionage. And Mr. Wang, there is information from some netizens that Mr. She There's information from some netizens that Mr. She instigated a prison assault. Can you speak to that?
有一个报告就说史先生他就开始这个在监狱里面的一些打击，你能不能更详细的说一下？
就是他在监狱里面就是被虐待殴打的情况嘛。
就是他有开启一种打击这样反击。 有没有记者？
是什么方面的反击呢？就是他在监狱里面是什么方面的反击，还是他就是在监狱里面就是被虐待殴打的情况？麻烦就是清楚的解释一下。
Okay. So this kind of assault, can you please explain, Madam Chair, what kind of assault was this?
It's all right. We just received this information from some netizens on the internet. So that's all the detail I can provide about it. I can go on to my last few questions, Mr. Wang. What did you mean when you said there are many spies and they're not all Chinese?
你说有很多间谍，但不是所有都是中国人，你如何能解释？
佘亮先生曾经跟我说过，就是中国的那个间谍组织是非常庞大而且复杂的，就是他所在的国安系统也是其中的一个系统，而且他们的目标非常的多元化，不只是针对海外的华人，还有很多国家的富商，就是都曾经为中国的那个间谍组织工作，所以说中国的间谍渗透不仅仅是招募华人。也有著名的菲律宾政界人士和商界人士，但是这个需要问佘江先生本人，他应该很清楚这方面的事情，但很可以确定的是，马东立是菲律宾谍报活动的关键人物，因为佘江先生在菲律宾接触的政商人物都是马东立对接安排的。
Actually, the question about this is a bit complicated because it's not only they are not only targeting Chinese, but they are also targeting some Filipinos or other members of the in the government. So it is wide and it's complicated. And if you want to know the details, we have to ask Mr. She personally. And actually about Ma Dongli, he is actually the one who introduced these people to Mr. She. He's like the bridge introducing these people. He is actually the more important or key person here.
Yes, Ma Dongli does seem to be very important. But Mr. Wang, did you also mean that there are Filipinos working against the interests of the Philippines?
你刚才说的意思就是，也有一些菲律宾人，就是好像在反对，或是就是在背叛我们菲律宾国家吗？
是的，就是据佘江先生所掌握的，就是他掌握的一些资料来说是的，但是这些资料的公开的话，还是需要就是去问一下佘江先生本人。
Yes, that is correct. Based on the information that is provided by Mr. She, but of course we have to confirm this with Mr. She.
I understand, Mr. Wang. And do you have in the decrypted files the names of Filipino citizens?
请问一下，在这些解密的文档里面有没有这些菲律宾人的名单呢？
这个的话还是需要菲律宾政府去，就是去与佘志安先生是直接对话，然后因为这些公开的话需要他的本人的授权，这边的话我非常抱歉，就是无法提供。
I apologize if I cannot provide this information because again, this is information from Mr. She, and he doesn't give any authority for anyone to reveal this.
All right. I understand, Mr. Wang. Now, would there be other countries interested in the testimony of Shi Zhijiang?
你觉得有没有其他国家对这个佘先生他的证据有兴趣呢？
目前所知道的这些解密档案的话，有美国还有英国政府会感兴趣的APT 31、APT 40、APT 12等这些就是在中国国安指使下进行的间谍活动的一些资料。而且这些只是解密档案的一小部分，还有剩下的很多不太方便透露，抱歉，因为就是涉及到佘志安先生本人的安全，还有保密的内容，还有他本人的授权问题，所以说暂时不能公开。
What I know is that other governments such as the USA and the United Kingdom or the UK are very interested with this information about the espionage and also about the APT 41, 40, and 12. Okay, actually, this is just a small portion of the many more information that is within Mr. She. That's why I apologize if I could only give you the minimum of the information.
It's all right, Mr. Wang. I was also interested, aside from the US and the UK, if any other governments here in Asia would be interested in the testimony of She.
请问除了这些美国跟英国，有没有其他亚洲国家对这些证据有兴趣呢？
据解密档案里面的内容来说的话是有的，但是还是那句话，还是需要就是菲律宾政府去就是直接与佘志阳先生对话，可以获得那个更加有价值的一些情报吧。
Yes, there is. And just like what I said a while ago, it is better to communicate directly with Mr. She to be able to know the exact details of these answers.
I understand, Mr. Wang, and maybe later, Deputy General Asidillo, if there's a chance, we might want to comment on the other APT mentioned, APT 12, if it has come up in your investigations of the council of the authority, and if you're able to speak about it, APT 12 in open hearing. So just for my last set of questions for you this morning, Mr. Wang, why is it important for governments like the Philippines to speak to She?
最后一个问题，你觉得为什么一些国家的政府，比如说菲律宾政府，他们必须跟佘先生交谈？
他的确是掌握了那个非常大量的那些解密档案，就是郭华平间谍案的那些资料，只是我们手头上资料的很小的一部分。就是我们也希望所有世界的那些爱好和平与自由的那些国家政府来关注佘志阳先生被非法关押和遭受政治迫害的那个案件里面来，就是对接佘志阳先生，让佘志阳先生把他所掌握的一些证据和资料就是公布出来，就是阻止独裁专制政府他们的邪恶计划。
Okay, the files that are in Mr. She's possession right now, they are really enormous. They are big. There are a lot, and for the countries who would like to advocate for peace, and for other countries, maybe this will be very useful for them. And we have to work together to stop this problem from continuing.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wang. And finally, do you have a message for the Philippine government or for other governments who may be interested in the files of She Zhijiang?
你对我们菲律宾政府还有其他对这个档案有兴趣的国家有什么信息吗？
是说是除了菲律宾以外的其他国家吗？
是的。
美国和英国吧，就是美国和英国，就是佘志阳先生手头上有他们非常感兴趣的档案资料，就是我也希望美国和英国就是介入和关注佘志阳先生的案件，就是让更多的那个真相公布于天下。然后那个郭华平间谍案的资料只是我们手头上很小一部分的档案而已，就是还有更多的档案就是有待于解密和公布。
So I would like to advise other countries who are interested in this information, like to continue on following and to be attentive to all the information with the gathering of information, because in fact the information that we gave about Guo Huabing is only a small portion of the big chunk of information that we have.
All right, Mr. Wang. 谢谢, 谢谢. Stay safe.
You're
And
welcome.
as I said earlier, we will ask our Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs to communicate to the Thai authorities that Mr. Shi's safety needs to be confirmed.
OK，非常感谢王先生。那我刚才说过，我们会跟外交部跟他们交流，就是能够保证您的安全。
好的，就是我现在不在泰国，就是我也不能说我具体在什么地方，就是也是非常感谢，就是也希望你们就是菲律宾政府就是更加就是联系泰国政府，就是督促泰国政府更加关注佘志强先生本人的安全。
In fact, I am not in Thailand right now, and I could not reveal where I am right now. But what I wanted to say is that for the Philippines to ensure the safety of Mr. Shi.